Kiwi here. So today we're going to work on the Camaro again. If I put build numbers on it, this would be build 11. It's sort of dragged out a bit, but sorry about that. We'll get there. So just charging the Camaro up at the moment. Battery doesn't hold the best charge on this thing. It's probably one of those wires or something like that drain it a bit. But yeah, so we're going to get into putting the starter motor on today. So it's come. It's amazing the size difference. It runs the same power off the paperwork side of things, so should be alright. I've had to mod the bolt a tiny bit so it fits in there. I won't get a socket on there now, it'll just be a thing, but it's life, we'll deal with that. And then this one here I've got a cut, so this one has a round terminal on it here, so I just got to cut that, put this little blue one on, and then that'll plug in there, and then I'll just tape that so it doesn't vibrate out. So hopefully that works. The teeth looks good so far, but we'll find out soon. So we're going to get into that. So hopefully she starts, she's running. Pinion seal should be here in a couple of days, so I should get that in on the same video. I'll be pretty keen to take it for a drive down the road again. I played with the fuel a bit before the starter motor cooked, so I haven't really been able to take it for a test drive on what I did. I was sort of just going off what it was running like, throttle control sort of thing. So we'll see how that goes. I'm probably going to just have to chuck the stock seats back in. They don't quite lock back properly. That's hence the reason of replacing them. The hardware on them is a bit screwed. But put them back in. Haven't been able to get the seats yet. A bit of a money problem at the moment, but we only got one income at the moment, so we're doing what we can do. So we'll get into that. And then also I want to play with the exhaust a little bit, get them up a bit higher, so I can drop the front a bit more too. And yeah, I'll get her up on the hoist and we'll get the starter motor bolted in. Hopefully she all fits good and works. Okay, now we're going to lift this car up, make sure everything's out of the way, including the bonnet. Okay, so I'll cut this old terminal off here. Okay, so there's the new starter. Hopefully she all goes on there. Just get that. Okay, so the problem I'm having here is it's not the right starter. Doesn't quite line up the way I want it to with the holes, which now I think about it, the other one that I had would have been a lot better. But just pulling this off and we'll see, because it looks like there's a few different holes there. So just have a look here. see if we can turn the motor out of the way to make it work. Looks like it's designed to do that. Still not sure if I'll get my proper adjustments out of it all, but we'll give it a go and fingers crossed we will. So the main problem I ran into then was the thing on the back of it was hitting the actual motor. So being able to spin it, hopefully she clears and she's better. We will see. I don't give up that easy, so we'll see if it's possible. This is going to be the hardest part here because I can't get a socket on that, so she's going to be a slow mission on this one. But at the end of the day it could be worse. She gets in there and she starts it, then we're not. It's starting to, it looks like she's lined up all right. It'll just be if the teeth are enough. I'm pretty sure it'll come out that far. I'll show you in a second what I mean. Get this on. Get the power hooked up, and then we'll give her a go. Just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that supports me too. I like the private messages that I get and stuff like that. It really gives me that sort of drive. Heartwarming sort of stuff. Really want to make something of this and be able to give back to the car people as well. Eventually, sort of thing, or at least just help people out. Like even if it's just hoist higher or not even higher, but if you're stuck with something, you don't have the money to sort of fix your stuff, but you want to learn, yeah, it'd be cool. I can help you out, sort of thing. Obviously selected people because of security and everything like that these days. You've got to be careful. Okay, so had a moment there, thought wasn't really going to work till I noticed that the plate had all the holes in it. I hadn't looked at it properly, so freaked out a bit there, thought I had the wrong one. Could still have the wrong one, shouldn't speak too soon. But so what I had to do here, so these here, I've just had to spin this around because obviously this here was hitting up on the block. Sorry, this here was hitting up on the block. So what I've done is I've spun it around. That's all the terminals back on. This thing hooked into the other one. So yeah. So I'm gonna put it down. Put it down back on the ground, well on the hoist but down, and we'll try crank it and see what happens. So now that hook the battery back on, and we'll see if she fires. So it's been a while, so we'll give it a bit. Thing. Battery's got nothing. Not sure what's going on now. Maybe because it's loose. Okay, so I had a wire around the wrong way. So I've fixed that. So now it should kick over now. Should. So once I looked at it properly, a bit better. Yeah, I had it hooked up wrong and didn't have it onto this. So we'll have a look now. We'll drop it back down and go. Yeah, so it's sitting for a little while, so we'll have to get some fuel up. So I'll just pump the accelerator for a bit. Try not to flood it at the same time. This thing seems to flood. Give it a go. Got a bit of a fuel leak up there. See? We'll fix that problem first before we light something on fire. Okay, so that's the fuel leaks all sorted now. We've just got to sort of pump the fuel up till she's got enough in there. That's just the auto choke, so it should let go soon. If it's cold, she'll be wet. Running a little bit better now. Still needs a bit. She's not running the best. It's probably not the best fuel in it either. So starter's fixed. Main thing. There is where the starter sits, as you can see down there, pretty close to the headers. So I am going to put some heat shield, sort of like I did to the Dodge, there around that starter, but it's good to hear this thing running again. So the belts need replacing. I've got Gilmore belt fits that noise. She's pretty wait till she warms up. I'm sitting at the 70 mark now. Sounds good. I will get on to the other stuff. I haven't received the seal for the diff yet, so I probably won't get to do it in this video because I'm planning to put this up Sunday morning. So I've changed my mind again. Changed my mind more than I changed my undies, but I'm going to paint them, but I am going to paint them silver. I went and got some silver rim paint, acrylic rim paint with a clear as well. So I'm going to do that now, and that'll sort of tie up this video sort of thing. So I plan to do that, and if I get to it, I'm going to seal up the headers on the SS. So as I mentioned in one of my other videos, it keeps warping the extractors a little bit. I'm guessing that's what it is because I keep putting new gaskets and trying them and adjusting them up differently sort of thing. Do the center up first and then the outside, done the outside and the center, done the sort of 1, 2, 3, 4 sort of setup. So it's still sort of doing it. She's a bit rowdy, a bit loud. So I'm gonna have a look at, I'm pretty sure it'll be a pressure problem. So I'm pretty sure it's the headers again. It sort of did the same thing last time. I fixed it, it quieted back down again. I think just because the air's coming out at the headers sort of thing, you can hear it a bit too. Comes out of the headers a bit, and that's why it makes the mixture a bit rich, and then hence the backfiring and everything like that. Well, that's what I think anyway. Could be wrong. But so I'll seal those up. I'll paint these wheels, get these wheels done. I'll do the front too, and then I'll do the back. I still haven't sorted out this thing. The Camaro's got a weird sort of setup. I'm a bit worried about crushing the join across the bottom of the floor, even though it's crushed anyway, but don't want to make it worse. So where the mounts are, they're a little bit inside where you'd use like a 2-post hoist. They're sort of inside my lift a little bit. So I'm planning, I'll weld up some sort of jig thing, and then paint it up all nicely sort of thing. I've got this stuff here that I'll probably use. So it's pretty thick stuff, pretty heavy. Being the bend, I think it'll be pretty strong. I might even overlap and then weld sort of thing, so it's even stronger. But then we get heavier, and I don't want to be moving around heavy stuff. There's the old boxer, still at it. Tested out some tyre sizes, so the 175 by 65 is still too big for the little boxer. We'll get into that. We'll paint these wheels finally, different colour. I won't change my mind again. Once she's done, she's done. Not going to show too much on these wheels today. Just
going to paint 2 at a time. It's got wax and grease to move up. So with the masking, I'm only going to mask sort of just the rim. Don't think I'll get much on the tyre. If I do, I'll sort of wipe it off straight away. But because these have such a deep dish, I think I'm gonna be alright. I'll give these ones their first coat. Yeah, so that's the final coat on these ones. I'll let them dry and then I'll clear coat it up. So I think with these you can see it's sort of the thing of the rim. So the bumpiness, it is what it is. So yeah. So I'm just waiting for those first rims to dry, so I'll clear coat them. And then we'll be careful and sort of put them on, and then I'll do the same with the rear, and then I was going to do the Commodore, but I had to shoot down the road, so now it's hot, so that's not going to happen today. Now I'm not putting my hands in there, and after that things run down the road. So now what I'm doing is I've got some other nuts that I found in my collection of crap that I've got everywhere. They've been painted black. As you can see, these ones here that's on it, they sit in a little bit weird. So they kind of, well, these ones are probably not too bad. So I do have to wipe this rim a bit more too before I paint it. But as you can see, these ones, they don't have quite enough sort of thing, and they seem to bind up on it a tiny bit. So I've got these ones here, and they've sort of got that different part. They're the same thread. So yeah. So I'm going to clean these up just on this thing. Pretty much pretty handy setup to have this thing. But yeah, I'll get into that and we'll get back onto the roof. And as you can see, comes up brand new. So we'll get into get all those done. I am missing 4, which sucks, but I'm not sure, I'll probably put a lock nut on the doors anyway. Sort of those words that people, I don't even know if you use lock nuts these days, not sure. I don't even know if it's a thing anymore. Everyone's probably got a key to everything anyway, I'm guessing. But yeah, we'll work it out anyway. There we go, so I finished polishing my nuts. So these will be good to go back on when those rims are on there. Just double check that thread again. Yeah, she's good. Yeah. Cool. As you can see up in the corner there, It's a bit of the rust that I've got to do there. I sort of just cut it out, then I've got to clean it, and then I'll put a patch in there. I probably could have done that today, but I think I'll wait till my son's here so he can be on fire watch. Sometimes when you got your mask on, you don't really know what's going on, and then yeah, you got a flame in behind you or something like that. But so polished nuts, I've got one of those ones to polish, obviously, for each wheel. Hopefully find one that's similar, probably this one here. Sort of looks similar. So we'll polish up a few of those ones too, actually. These ones are a cheaper chrome, sort of nickeled ones, or painted sort of dipped sort of ones, where the other ones are actual better steel sort of nut. But anyways, we'll get into that, finish those. I'm going to go put a clear coat on these wheels now, and then we'll get front ones on, and then we'll move on to the rear ones. Okay, so bed's probably all over the show. So I've moved on to the rear wheels. I've given them a coat. I was a bit lazier on the masking this time. Hopefully she's alright, just wipe it down a bit. It's only the center, so that's the centers, or the rears, sorry. So now they're just drying, and then I'll clear coat them. And then in here, the fronts are on. So I sort of stuffed up by painting the center silver. I didn't have any black on me, so I thought I'll just do it silver, but I think it sort of looks a bit stupid. But anyways, we can fix that another day. Let's just take the wheel off and paint the hub again. But pretty happy with the outcome of those. It's not the exact silver I wanted. I could have got it mixed by the paint shop a little, because I wanted it a little bit darker. But I think it's going to be good. It's not too far off what the front ones were anyway. The rear ones were slightly different, as you can see. I've painted the hub there too. Idiot. But anyways, I think that's gonna do. So I still find with the front ones, there's still a lot more texture to them than the rears. I'm guessing because the front ones are a newer rim maybe, and the rear ones are the older rim, like the traditional sort of rim. But still pretty happy with it. Obviously not the centers. The nuts look good, look a bit better than the old rusty ones that were on it. Yeah, similar video to last time. At least this time the car was running. We got it running. And yeah, now I finally did what I was going to do, which was paint the wheels. So I finally got the wheels painted. Done 2 videos on the same topic, which wasn't my aim in it, but So she runs now. Wheels are painted, which see here. Definitely going to change the hub colour and behind it. I don't know what I was thinking, paint them silver. It makes it look like it's got a silver centre cap in it, sort of thing, which not really what I was after. But you make these stupid decisions sometimes and don't think about them. But so yeah, so rims are done now. Pretty wrapped. Can't get over these rims either. They're sick rims. Just the offset as well. The offset's mint. They hang out the guards just a tiny bit, enough. Not enough to make it look like a four-wheel drive, as you can see there. They sit pretty good. So I also had a look at the suspension today too. So with the suspension, it's fairly easy to get those airbag setups that I got, the older ones. Pretty easy to get them in the back, because they're a bolt. They're a hole at the bottom and then straight through bolt, sort of like the top piece set up at the top. So what I can do is sort of make like an L bracket sort of thing, where the air shock will just bolt into, then that bolts into where the actual shock sits in. Sort of like an offset bracket sort of thing. That's probably my easiest go, is to do that. But yeah, and then the front, so the front has, so it's been pressed, so the shock's been pressed into the actual bracket that holds everything. So what I'm thinking there is I should be able to eventually separate the shock out of the brackety part, get the right coil over or an airbag set up, to just slide back into that, maybe weld it a little bit or something like that. This is rough ideas. I just looked at it today, so if I can do that, that'd be pretty cool. I could go down the path of finding some more shocks like what I have, doing something like that with it, but just put the air shock into that, and then just delete the springs, I'm guessing. Don't know how it will ride. It could be a really rough ride, but it'd be pretty cool to have this thing aired right out, so pretty much that chassis, because the chassis hangs pretty low, the chassis will just be straight on the ground. I'll try to drive it like that. Probably put something around the oil sump and the gearbox. It looks like they've been hit a bit already. So yeah, definitely doable. You can get the coilover kits for these cars, but by the time I get them from America over here, it's going to be a fair whack. So I'm probably going to look at like, I don't know, like $4 grand, maybe even $5 grand by the time I get them over here. Which you can get airbag kits or make airbag kits for kind of, if you do all the work yourself and tee it up yourself. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, I keep changing my mind. Could just be coilovers all around and just wind it straight down and just miss the potholes. Or bags all the way around, but we'll see how it goes. And I've noticed today that the button which holds it in park isn't working, so you can actually just move it out of park without pushing the button down. It could work. I want to try modify sort of a different shifter style. I just sat this thing on it just before. I'll show you. So I've moved on to the gear knob. I thought I was done for the day, but obviously not. You could move it out of park very easily, and it didn't lock. So I shoved the screwdriver down there. The spring was just caught a little bit. So now I've moved on to the gear knob sort of thing. So I want to make it with this gear knob here, make it so you push it down and select, push it down, take it out of park, and then you can still select your gears. I know you probably buy one with a button, something like that, but I'm gonna give it a go. So what I've done here is I've put this on here. That's obviously where that screws onto. I've sanded this a bit. Do need to sand it a bit more. Still a bit in there. Yeah. So we'll get onto this. So this will screw onto here, I'm hoping. So this is what I was talking about. So I've put this on. So you push this down out of park thing, and then you can come up into park, and she locks off. So she's pretty solid. So pretty happy with that. And she's solid. With that starter motor too, did a few more research on it, and it's actually made for that purpose. To obviously, I just missed that, but it's made that purpose so you can rotate it around to make it fit, sort of thing. Which, lucky that I got that one and didn't get the other one I was looking at, because I had a look last night, and the other one that I was looking at, the motors actually the solenoid, sorry, is actually sitting in the same place. So yeah, I wouldn't have been, and it didn't have the adjusting part on it, so I would have been screwed. So I am glad I did that one. Next time hopefully we'll be doing this diff seal. I've ordered the gearbox seal too, which I'll have to chop all the chains for that, chains fluid for that. So also another thing I've noticed, which is happening, you'll hear it in the video a bit, when it's idling. So once it's warmed up and choke comes off, if you rev it a little bit, and it will stick, and then it will hold it. And sort of, I'm thinking the problem here would be this throttle spring, because there's only one. I think from memory my small block Chevy, the 350 I had in my 80 series, had a double. From memory I had one from here coming back down, so it actually pulled it back. So it seems like what's happening is it sticks a tiny bit forward on the pedal. So what you gotta do is you just touch the pedal a little bit, and then she jumps back down again. So that'll be another thing that I'll add onto here, maybe a spring and another spring here. Or I've also seen running a smaller spring, it's about this long, and then another one goes inside it, which gives it a decent pull. That'll be the plan for that too. Getting closer to driving this thing. Once it's sort of at that stage, I'm just going to enjoy it for a bit. and I'm planning to get onto this voxel just a bit, just sort of to get the floor sorted, sort which sort of area I'm going for parts and stuff like that. So not much money to spend, but we can get started on it. I've got materials around here so we can start there. So awesome. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and catch you on the next one. Cheers.